beginning of Rise of the Tomb Raider is nothing short of thrilling, as best pals Lara Croft and her friend Jonah scale mountains in Siberia to reach some random lost city as the adventuring trope goes. Serving as an excellent tutorial section to refresh your memory on grasping onto ledges and using your pickaxe to climb, it sets the tone for the game ahead, knowing some pretty epic chase scenes are bound to happen and other forms of chaos. But walking through essentially an avalanche as the mountain falls apart was taking my breath away in parts, and hearing Lara's loud shouts as she made insane leaps only added to that feeling.
Now grab my hand! Gotcha! Climb! Climb!
Also, I'm playing these out of order as I actually just finished Shadow of the Tomb Raider, the third and closer of the reboot trilogy, so whatever. Oddly enough, though I enjoyed both, they definitely have different feels. Whereas Shadow was a bit more grounded with all of one set piece and a few firefights, Rise of the Tomb Raider was definitely heavier on things crashing around you, explosions, and several frantic firefights scattered throughout the game. Of course, depending on your playstyle, as you can play it very stealthy as well. Also, Rise of the Tomb Raider was originally released on November 10th, 2015, and all capture footage here is from PlayStation 4, and as I never actually owned an original PlayStation, having mostly Nintendo systems for years and years, I have no nostalgia goggles for Tomb Raider, as before the reboot trilogy, the only one I owned was Tomb Raider Anniversary on Wii, which I never even finished. Having said that, the game was great fun. I personally very much enjoyed the set pieces, and the voice actress performing as Lara Croft did a phenomenal job conveying the intensity of Lara jumping around as she defies death over and over, and dishes out death over and over in accordance with how I chose to play, sparing a stealthy kill here and there. The movement and animations are super cool, with Lara flailing her arms on long jumps or when sliding down mountains, or when she slams her pickaxe into the sides of cliffs when you can do that. The controls were smooth, and having different skill sets to upgrade makes it great for whether you want to go in mostly as a brawler and destroy everything, which is mostly how I played it, probably just having my fill of stealthy games over the years like Metal Gear, Splinter Cell, or Assassin's Creed, but I found both ways satisfying. Hiding in the bushes and causing a distraction or some sort of disturbance in the force and luring an enemy over could be really sleek, and Lara does not hold back on the brutality here with knives to throats or pickaxes to the heads of the evil corporation that calls themselves Trinity. I personally especially love the pickaxe, as that was satisfying every time, and pretty brutal as you watch her pulling the pickaxe back out of her enemies. There's a nice variety of weapons, though after I found my favorites, I generally stuck with a select few. A pretty standard pistol that I never paid much attention to, the bow that you could get different attachments for, poison arrows, grenade arrows, which were probably my favorite, and fire arrows to name a few.
I'm not your enemy. That remains to be seen.
As soon as I got my mitts on an automatic shotgun, though, I focused on upgrades for that and went full-on Terminator, especially since I was playing on Adventurer mode, which has more of a focus on the story anyways. Not to say I never actually died, though. Some of those chases or set pieces had a bit of trial and error, and the few times that actually happened, it was usually because I forgot I could actually do a certain move, such as throwing a rope up to an anchor onto a cliff if I was too low, or forgetting to slam the pickaxe into the side of a cliff. One time something was just a little too dark for me to notice at first, but otherwise using the survival instinct option is great to get you where you're going in general anyway, whether heading to your main objective, going to a side mission, trying to up your skill points, etc. And while the game had fast travel, I was never too interested in side missions, save for one short mission of clearing out a wolf den so an injured man could take shelter. Like Shadow of the Tomb Raider after it, I really have to give credit to the voice actors here. Everyone sounds fully committed to their character, And something I particularly love about the villains is not only the work the actors put in here, is all the characters sound really convicted about their cause, but the villain, Constantine here, despite being psychotic at the end of the day, ultimately is doing what he's doing for his sister Anna.
We should have killed her.
You have nothing to show for your efforts. Perhaps she'll succeed where you're failing.
I will not fail.
Trinity will step in if you do.
And I love the backstory here, where Anna was actually involved with Lara Croft's father, Richard Croft, and Lara comes to learn that Anna is not only involved with Trinity, but that the evil Constantine is her brother, and they're working together to find what they refer to as the Divine Source, as Anna is dying, and Constantine wants to do his part to save her, and truly believes he is doing the right thing, no matter what the cost to get his hands on it. He has some pretty barbaric scenes too, including a scene where he squeezes a soldier's eyes out, and the game leaves it up to you to leave him there or put him out of his misery. There's no shortage of violence here either, with some traps where you might find multiple spikes running through your body, you might get mauled by a bear, or you might miss that jump and plummet to your death. If and when that does happen, there's never too much retreading if any, and as long as you're looting the fallen enemy soldiers, it's pretty difficult to run out of ammo, save toward the end when you're fighting an entire army. One thing that's kind of interesting about this 20-year celebration of Tomb Raider at the time, and especially when compared to Shadow of the Tomb Raider, is that I didn't find it very Tomb-y. It really wasn't until the very end of the game that it felt more surreal, or to what my perspective of Tomb Raider's namesake implies. But again, I never played the PS1 original trilogy. Also, when there were underground sections, they were often littered with firefights, whereas Shadow of the Tomb Raider had very quiet underground areas and puzzle solving, which leads into puzzle solving. Rise of the Tomb Raider does have a few puzzles to solve, but the emphasis is definitely beams crashing, helicopters chasing and exploding, and tons of action, at least in the main story. The puzzles that are here I never found overly difficult or time-consuming, as again, this game seems like it always wants to get back to things going boom. The quiet areas that are here, specifically one contraption you need to scale, was fun, and pretty fun to look at on top of that. The characters are interesting. Lara's bestie Jonah is in and out of the story, getting separated multiple times. Finding the mysterious Jacob in a jail cell after being captured by Trinity is a mystery while they escape, and that unfolds over the game, as to me the game didn't hint at all as to its importance off the bat. And for those that maybe did have the original trilogy or are more interested in the lore, there are tons of documents and voice journals left by the characters that you can find along the way.
After the avalanche, I got one little blip, one brief echo. But I'll be damned if it wasn't your voice. I know I heard it.
Sophia, the sister of Jacob, is a very non-trusting character of Lara at first, but ends up helping her when in need, and when she realizes they are not enemies.
Easy. You know I'm not with Trinity.
Why should we believe you?
I escaped with one of yours. A man named Jacob.
Jacob himself gives no hints initially as to how long he's been around, given his interactions with the Divine Source.
What are you doing?
And Constantine believes he is in some sort of personal holy war on a mission.
Blood it shall be.
While Anna is of course looking out for herself and simply doesn't want to die.
You're still so naive. Just a frightened little girl trying to walk in her daddy's shoes.
And Jonah is fun to hear on walkie-talkie, or when you do run into him in person, whoever he is in this game, as the character looks really different in all three games in the reboot trilogy.
You can't blame yourself anymore. We all make our own choices.
Oh shit!
That was close!
Close toward the end of the game, you're met with these deathless soldiers in yet another lost city, and with the castle setting in catapults, or trebuchets as they call them here, that seemed like a fun homage or influence from Resident Evil 4 in terms of setting and gameplay. The overall graphics too of this game, I feel, especially for their time, as the game gets older and older, really holds up today on PlayStation 4. the ice especially still looks stunning to me, and little touches like emotional animations on faces went a long way.
I know!
There are plenty of outfits to choose from that actually make sense in the below freezing temperatures, whether you select an outfit with a simple jacket and scarf, the Antarctica outfit with a thermally insulated coat, or what I used toward the end was actual chainmail, and many of those outfits would give stat boosts, such as the chainmail giving you defense from the Greek fire found in the end. Also, given the harsh cold environments, I thought it was a great touch to see Lara freezing half the time in the form of shivering, and in some cutscenes or hanging out at base camp could be seen chattering her teeth, as opposed to just seeing maybe some cold breath here and there. Overall, I think it says a lot for a guy that's never played Rise of the Tomb Raider before to come into it nearly a decade after its initial release, play it all the way through, and have a really great time with it. The difficulty enabled me to play through it probably a little bit quicker than normal, as that's just how I wanted to do it, with a focus on the story, and not caring about an extreme challenge or pulling my hair out or whatever. And if you did see my Pet Peeve podcast, you might remember that I hate tapping a button as fast as I can, which is here briefly, and more games, including Shadow of the Tomb Raider, are giving the option to just hold that down, which is great. The adventure was satisfying, the voice actors did a phenomenal job, and there was just, I thought, the perfect amount of surrealism as when I explored the tomb areas. I certainly wanted to see some unknown there, and the game delivered without being too over the top for my taste. Hope you enjoyed that. When I've got more time, I'm thinking about coming back with more of a podcast format, maybe even a new channel. I'm not entirely sure at the moment. As for any other YouTubers out there, this takes a lot of time, especially when you're doing it entirely by yourself. So if you are still here, let me know what you might like to hear and maybe more of a podcast format. I'll give that some thought. In the meantime, take care, everybody. Hope you're having a great new year, and I will see you again. Happy tomb raiding.
Go easy. Oh, shit!